Legal Tech for Africa. Wivo, Legal Tech for Africa.
Good evening, and once again, welcome to another edition of Wivo, Legal Tech for Africa, coming to you live on Facebook and on our YouTube channel, Legal Tech for Africa. Of course, today, before we start the stream, let me take this opportunity to congratulate all Gunners fans out there for winning our own trophy, signing Victor Gyökeres, a great striker, to the Arsenal. So this is your program where innovation meets the law and Africa leads the future. I am your host, Wivo, and tonight we move from theory to practice. Over the past few weeks, we have explored the deep philosophical currents shaping the legal profession in the age of AI, from ethics to identity, power to policy. But tonight, we roll up our sleeves. We are diving into the how. How lawyers like you can use AI effectively, responsibly, and powerfully. The secret weapon? Prompt engineering, the new literacy for legal professionals. Joining me is a guest who needs no AI-generated introduction, Mario G. Mackey, a global tech and privacy lawyer, a Chevening scholar, and an authority on the front lines of AI in law. Together, we will decode the art of prompting. We'll learn how to ask the right questions, get meaningful outputs, and build legal workflows that are both efficient and ethical. So whether you are drafting a contract or researching cases or training your team, this episode is for you. Stay tuned, stay sharp, and let's engineer the future, one prompt at a time. Mario, welcome to Wivo Legal Tech for Africa. Thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure, and I'm happy to be here. Also, thanks for all the work you've been doing in this space. I think we need these conversations, given how fast things are moving in other places in the world. I think these conversations are good. I mean, the progress might not be as fast as we want it, but it's good to have these things in mind as we go on legal profession.
Thank you very much. I am humbled for those kind words of yours. So let's start the conversation, Mario. What exactly is prompt engineering in the legal context, and how does it differ from just asking ChatGPT a question?
Okay. So I would first of all start by adding the caveat that the definition would be how I approach it from a subjective perspective, right? But prompt engineering in this context, from how I interact with these AI tools, it's how you interact with chatbots like Copilot, ChatGPT, or Perplexity, as the case may be, or specific tools from a law firm, for example, to do research, draft legal documents, or basically have ideation sessions as the strategy. So it is the way you interact with these tools to get certain results, the results which I've already mentioned. But I think it's also the manner in how you deliberately ask the questions, the right questions, because the way I see it, people think prompt engineer is just put in things, just give me what I've asked for. But I think it helps if you have a lot of knowledge. So it's also using the research you've done, which is still very important, and to get outcomes. So in short, it's the way we communicate with AI tools to get outcomes, legal outcomes, for to get to help in our legal practice and our legal work, and to streamline some of the research we're doing. Yeah.
Great. So, how can lawyers, start thinking more like a prompt engineers when using these tools that you've mentioned in their daily workflow?
Okay. So first of all, to start with, I would say we have to bear in mind a couple of things. So before just getting into that, there's certain disclaimers, just a few things we have to bear in mind, right? Now, for all of these chatbots, there's always a disclaimer that they may not be 100% correct. So you always have to keep that in mind. So you're not just relying on everything they say. And leave them to make certain decisions, and you just submit those papers, because it could be put very damaging to your case, your firm, or your client, as the case may be. Now, going back to a conversation I had with he was he was the head of tech for a big law, Baker McKenzie in the UK. We were having a conversation, and I said, what I think AI would do is it would help people who already know what they're doing,
Ye-
right? Now,
yes.
if I, and the example I like to give before I move on to what you asked, the example I like to give is, I'm not the best at maths, right? Now, even if you gave me a calculator to take an exam, I may not know what exactly to type. The inputs, I may not know the right inputs to get the right answer. So it would be basically useless to me. You understand? I
Yes.
mean, as soon as it get complex, you might lose me at some point. So in our context, what I think we should be looking at, for prompt engineering for lawyers, is first of all, be good at what you do as a lawyer, right?
Yeah.
And then when you decide to use these tools, put at the back of your mind that you have there's confidentiality which you have to be mindful of, because you're sharing data, clients' data. So is it the in-house AI tool that you have, or are you finding a way to anonymize the data? So before moving into just saying, okay, just head into it, there's certain things you have to bear in mind. Privacy laws, for example, what are you sharing? Has the client consented to some of these things? But when you get into prompt engineering proper, I think it's to put it in a simple context, giving going back to the calculator example, if I gave a law student a year one to ask legal questions, it would be different from someone like you or me who've practiced for a while, been exposed to different things. So it's also the depth of context. So prompt engineering, the way I see it, is like providing more context to get specific outcomes. Because if you ask generic questions, you get generic answers. So the first thing is be very good at what you do, still keep reading, still keep studying, and still keep learning. Now, you could use prompt engineering to do research, for example, right? So tools like Perplexity, let's say the firm someone works at does not necessarily have their own AI tool yet. You could use tools like Perplexity to ask questions. And it gives, because it is more suited for online searches, you could have recent authorities on specific areas of the law. Now, with OpenAI releasing their agentic features, you could use deep research, which is quite good to find cases in an area or policies as to how to approach certain things or how certain industries are posturing in the to adopt AI tools or features or what regulations surround that. So first of all, I would say do the research. At the end of the day, you can only apply what you know. Do the research, then when you're engaging with these tools, provide context. Don't leave it vague. It is you would get a more detailed response if you said party A and party B engaged into a contract to get
That
this
is
and that.
exactly where I want us to take
Mm-hmm,
the conversation to, because today we've promised our viewers that we would
mm-hmm.
walk away from the philosophical lessons that we've been having over the past few weeks. So could you walk us
Okay.
through a few real life examples where you've seen well crafted prompts significantly improve legal outcomes or efficiencies?
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes, I could.
I have a shared screen here. So whilst you're talking, I might be showing people what exactly you're talking about.
Okay. Yes. Let me. So I have a database which I have created. There's one I will pull up. This is about doing a research, for example, right?
So Mario,
So
I have ChatGPT open already. So just give us
yeah,
some
yeah.
real life.
N-
Okay, exam. Okay, good.
No, what I want to do is send a prompt that so it would be long, and
Okay,
which is why I said you have to give it very good context,
no,
right?
no problem.
Um, so the the first thing I wanted to do is let me just pull up the prompt, and then we can then tweak it, right? When we tweak it, we can then figure how we analyze the output. How about we do that? Is that okay?
Yes, sure, of course.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. This one. Okay. Okay. So this one was now I want to post this in the chat.
No, you can't, because that's
No, no,
why
no, no. I'm posting it on the platform you and I are on, so
yeah,
you
that
can then copy and
I can
paste it.
okay, I'm not sure I'll be able to do that, or else I would significantly disturb the settings. But let me see if I can try to do that. Yeah, can you send it again? Okay, you've sent it. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Um okay, I've seen it.
Yeah.
Okay. So
What I
you want me
would
to
ask
copy
is,
everything? You want me
yes,
to
where
copy
it
every? Okay,
says
I've
you
copied
you
every.
are an expert,
Okay,
where it
I've
says
copied.
you are an expert,
Okay, you are
from
an
you are an
expert.
expert to the
Okay,
end, right?
I've done
Then
that.
I'll walk you through
Okay,
how to.
okay, I've done that. So now I'm taking that now to Chat GPT. So
No,
viewers, if you're viewing this program today, we're doing some practicals. So currently the screen you're seeing is Chat GPT, a fresh screen, and Mario has sent the prompt. So Mario, I'm now on Chat. I'm now at Chat GPT, and I've pasted the prompt.
okay,
Yes.
so now before you command it to go, what I would
Okay.
like for us to do is
Mm-hmm.
we're going to find a country, for example, to say
Okay.
as a test case, right?
Okay.
So the first thing I mentioned is you have to be very specific about the outcomes, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I will explain why this is the prompt I came up with, right?
Okay.
So it's good if you start by framing the expertise you're looking to get, right? So
So
I
here
started off by saying exactly,
you
you're
are.
an immigration advisor with experience tracking global policy changes. So what you're doing is you're narrowing down the expertise of the tool. So you're not asking this from an engineering perspective, right? You're asking this from some so the information pool where it would source the data from would be from that particular field, like it reduces the scope. then you're then now given it specific instructions as to what you want it to do. Now,
Mm-hmm.
where it says insert your context, I would want us to edit that to say,
Okay.
so for it to be search, just doing
So
research. So
so insert visa name or insert your context.
yeah, where it says insert your context, so you
I've
just
seen it.
backspace,
Yeah.
just say just doing research. So
Okay.
just leave just doing research. So you would tell the tool what you want to do.
Okay. So let me pull everything except doing research.
Exactly.
Okay, I have done so now.
Okay. Now,
Okay,
um,
doing
so
research.
the exactly.
Okay.
Now the
So I
country
I want
where
us to start at the top again. You are an expert immigration advisor with
yeah.
experience tracking global policy changes. What exactly is the significance of this line?
I mean, first of all,
Mm-hmm.
if you're framing the expertise of the tool, right? Like if someone was to ask it a generic questions to say, give me immigration advice, it can do that. But would you want specific expert output, or do you want to have generic outcomes, right? So you always have to, it's like you're training something, what exactly it should be. You should train, you're limiting the scope, the outputs, the prompt you're going to give. So if I was to say, oh, tell me what I can make with these ingredients to make a meal. I would rather say you're an international chef, you've worked in different countries. So you see what you're doing is you're telling it this is exactly what I want from you at this particular time.
So
This is the expertise I need.
thank you. So the next line is I what I observe from it is a job description. Are you
Mhm.
describing to the AI tool what exactly
Yeah.
it is supposed to do, or are you telling the AI tool that this is who you are at the moment?
Yes, you have to make sure you tell them the persona you want them to carry or
Okay,
convey at every given time, right? It
good.
helps you because when advising, that is the data. These are the pool of resources they're going to give back to you. You cannot just leave it very generic because it would give you generic answers. It's like you're narrowing down what exactly you're seeking to get from it.
Okay, so viewers, if you just tuning in, we are doing some real life examples of prompt engineering. So as you have seen from the screen in front of you, this is a prompt. Instead of just coming to the AI and asking the AI a question, you have to build, like you have to train the AI and tell the AI, especially for tools like ChatGPT and Copilot, because these are what we called general purpose AI. They are for everything. They are not
Yeah,
specific to,
specifically,
yes.
exactly.
So you have to
Mhm.
pinpoint what you are looking
What
for.
exactly?
Yeah, so you build
Exactly.
a context. So the first two lines you have
Hmm.
seen is basically building a context. You are telling now, for example on the screen now is the AI is an expert immigration advisor with experience in tracking global policy changes. And also, as well, you have also described what exactly does this mean to the AI. So even with the data the AI has been trained with, you are also what
Yeah,
helping the AI to give you a specific answer. So now we go to
yeah,
the next slide now, Mario. The goal is to help the user understand what's changed, how it impacts applicant, and what action they
exactly.
should take. What is the significance of
Hmm.
this one?
You're telling them the outcomes, what you want at the end of the day. So it would more likely than not knowing. So when it knows the goal, what we're seeking to get, now it understands that whatever feedback it gives us, it would break it down into how it impacts the applicant, whoever's asking it the question, or whatever context they've given it. And it would also say, these are the actions you should take. Now, if you just ask it for generic research, it would give you that, but it may not give you actionable instructions or advice, you see? It may not give you that. So you have to be very specific. It's like you're giving a junior in the law firm a task to do. You have to explain and break down the context to say this is the research I need from you, but this is why I'm doing this research. So whatever you're providing to me, make sure that we can use it for these purposes. So I think yes, that is why
Amayo,
we have to be very
let's go
specific.
back to the prompt. So the goal is to help the user understand
Yeah.
what's changed, how it impacts the app, and what action should they take. So this is basically
Yeah.
the end goal. It's basically telling the AI tool what exactly you want from it. So, and then you also, I see you also describe the visa type, the immigration category,
No,
blah blah blah.
so with
Yes.
that, which is why if you read the prompt, what it says is that is where you insert context. So we're going to edit that to be.
Okay.
It's not like it's going. These are the customizable fields, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
now what we're going to do, let's assume where we're doing this research for is for the US, right? So given that there's been many changes. So what I
Okay.
would say is let's say the H1B visa. Let's go for that and take out everything else.
Okay. The H1B visa.
B.
Okay.
Yes. So
H1B example H1B visa. Okay.
yes. So just take out
Okay. I've
everything
taken
else.
out.
Just leave H.
I've
Yes.
taken out the, everything else. What about the country or region?
Yes, it would be the USA because the H1B is in the US.
Okay.
So take
Insert
out
country.
Canada, UK, Germany, and
Okay. I've done
Australia.
all
So you
that.
see what we're doing? We're narrowing down the scope. You
Yes.
see, all of this is to just narrow down the scope.
Okay.
Now, again, even though we've explained to the tool how exactly we want the output to be structured, you're now going to say, what's the purpose of this exercise, right? Is it for someone who's applying soon? Is it for someone who is already in the country seeking to benefit from this? So I would say let's just leave I'm applying soon.
Okay. We
Yes, and
will leave come again and applying
so the
soon.
purpose of this search would be I am applying soon and
Okay.
take out all the other sections.
Sorry. Purpose of the search is just doing research. That's what we have here. So I should change it again.
I would rather you say I am applying soon because
Okay. Purpose
the
of
entire
search.
yeah.
I am applying soon. Okay. Yeah.
Exactly.
Please
Now, so
return.
for the purpose of the search, that is the only thing that's there because we don't want to give it too many instructions and overwhelm what it might give us.
Okay.
Right?
So now, yeah.
Okay.
So the next line is please
Then
return. This is what's the
yes.
essence of this? What?
Okay. So you're now giving it specific instructions as to what you want the language of the output to be.
Okay.
Right? Because
Yeah.
let's assume you wanted at the start with these things, this is good for research purposes. When you're starting to digest something for the first time, you want to understand it at its basic level, right? So, which is why I've said here a plain English summary of the most important changes in the past 6 to 12 months. So, even before it gets to the H1B, what you're doing is you're telling what are some of the policy changes that led to some of these laws to change, because at times we hear about the laws, but we don't know what exactly motivated these changes, right? So for the H1B, for example, we might find out that the system, most people thought that the system was being abused. When you get that context, you know exactly how to approach your own application. You would know why these changes have been made. So that is there. And how the changes affect applicants. So someone in this case would be I'm applying soon, you're an applicant. And current people. So if someone, let's say, was already here in the country, how it is affecting them. So when you do your research for someone who's applying, you would know, okay, if I was there at this time, this is how it would affect me, right? So you're still narrowing the scope of what exactly you want the tool to give to you, right?
Okay.
And then the other things like changes in eligibility, require documents. So it's just stating what exactly you have to, the quality of the output. Then I would say here, link to credible sources. I would say pick out the .gov.uk because that is UK specific. We only want the USCIS.gov one.
Okay. So
Yes.
I've taken that out. And then
Okay,
immigration
now,
law blogs and legal updates.
so yes. So this is saying your
Mhm.
sources should be from trusted. Your sources should be trusted. Basically, don't give me information from some random person who is writing without any skin in the game or any that lacks expertise in this. So if you're doing a research, make sure because ChatGPT now is connected to the internet. So when you search, it gives you links, right? You are now telling it, I only want this information from trusted sources. That is what you're doing here, right? So we're assuming for things like this, since we're not necessarily so why the BBC, that they would report the things like why these policy changes were made, right? They're not necessarily sources for, like, if you needed to make a case citation, for example, may not necessarily be something you can submit in court, but for the purposes of this research, the BBC would at least have documented why these changes are being made. Yes, then the bonus would be any expert comments here, warnings. So it's just keeping an eye out. Is there anything I need to be aware of that I don't know? So one thing I like doing with these prompts when engaging with them, because I know I don't know it all, right? So I'm stating, if there's any unknowns, if I haven't thought about this, tell me.
Okay.
So
So
that
this
is why this yes, the
encapsulates
bonus fits.
everything.
Exactly. So from top to bottom, what you're doing, you are
Okay.
telling it, give me a very detailed summary. So this would be your starting point, for example, right? When it gives you the output, it's not like you'd use this output and then say, this is the authority I would put all my chips in. This is your starting point for your research, you see? So I would say, go ahead and send this prompt in and let's see what the outcome is.
Okay. Before we send this prompt, so
Mhm.
just by way of recapitulation, we start with
Yeah.
giving context, right? We start
Yes.
with telling the tool who the tool should be. I mean, what
The
position
persona they
it
should
should
embody.
assume.
Exactly.
Okay, good.
Exactly.
And then
Yeah.
we give it context, and then we give it purpose
Specific.
and objective, specific purpose
Exactly.
and objective, rather than a
Yes.
generic and random objective.
Answer.
And then
Yes.
we give it
You
detail.
tell it how your answer is
Should look
structured,
like.
right?
Good.
Exactly. Because then,
And now
yeah.
we are hitting the go and see what results ChatGPT will come with. All right, here we go. All right. So ChatGPT is searching the web. Here is the latest on H1B visa updates in the US over the past 6 to 8 months, written in clear, non-technical English with concrete dates and citation. So it's see what it gives you. This is far better than asking about H1 to
Tell
visas.
me about the H1B visa, for example. Yes.
Right. So it gives you a detail and sources as well where you should go and confirm your result. And then, I mean, you see, it even gives you tabular format, and then you put this now and then cross-check them with other sources. That is your answer. So what did we achieve from this, Mario? What exactly have we done?
So I would say it is a very good start to, before we proceed with our own research. Let's say we were doing this, let's say I was applying for myself, for example, right? Or I had someone who said I needed help with an exercise like this. Instead of just relying on rumors, conjecture, or guessing, right? I've narrowed down what the experts in this field are saying at this particular time, because remember we mentioned in the last 6 to 12 months. It gives me the current consensus about this particular thing. So when you're approaching this thing, you know exactly, this is how the authorities feel about this. So you know that. You know how to approach it. So it's a very good research tool in this case, which you may not necessarily have had with Google, for example. Or let's say you had a legal database you could search. It would give you the authorities you needed, but framed in this manner, it's not necessarily personalized. It's not necessarily specific to what you're seeking to do. But I would also add the caveat that this should be your starting point, right? So the sources they've given you, this is where now you start going into these sources, because what it's doing, these tools are meant to collate and look at the sources and make assumptions based
Mm-hmm.
on the information that is there, because it's trained on a large amount of data. So what we've been doing this entire time is just to narrow it down. Now that it's done that, you do not want, and I repeat, you don't want to just rely on what it has said. Go, because it's provide you sources, go do
Mhm.
the research yourself. Yeah.
Mario, quick one from Facebook. Mr. Ibrahim Soriba Fudemansari
Okay.
said, of course, the session is quite edifying and practical. It is good that we are now getting the practical aspect of Tech for Africa. This is the way to go. I've learned something new today. I think, in my view, this is what caught my attention. According to him, in his view, the foundation which we've just talked about should first be generic to get a general appreciation of the subject matter. You are seeking expert knowledge on, and then subsequently break it down to subject specific questions and answer to suit your context. My question is, how can we use prompt engineering to develop tools that enhance businesses and economic growth? But before we come to his question, his view there that the foundation should be generic. What do you think about that?
So just to be clear, is he saying the foundation of the prompt should be generic,
This
or
is what
is he
exactly
saying?
he said. Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm intruding in your thought. He said, I think, in my view, the foundation should first be generic to get a general appreciation of the subject matter you are seeking. Expert, if you are seeking expert knowledge on okay, you should have a general appreciation of the subject matter you are seeking expert knowledge on.
Okay. I can respond to that.
Yes.
And I would say the most famous response from most lawyers is it depends, right? There's not a one size fits all approach. Now,
Yeah, yes.
if you are approaching this and have never heard about the H-1B visa, the prompt you would use would be different. Now, I am not saying this is what everyone should use, right? I'm just saying, if you needed to get information, or you needed to use AI tools, for example, to do research, right? Make sure it is specific to suit your own purposes. You understand? So where it would say you're an expert. So let me go back to the prompt. This is what I would say. You're an expert immigration advisor. Now, I would say, first of all, explain the H-1B visa to me as a very competent 15-year-old. It would break it down to you. You see, so it is the approach you use.
Let's try that. Let's try that. Explain
yeah.
the
Yes.
H-1B visa.
Yes. To me as a competent 15-year-old.
To me as a competent 15 years old.
Yeah.
All right.
Exactly.
I've done that.
So
Let's see what it comes with. It's giving me now a generic answer.
Exactly.
What is H-1B? The H-1B visa is a US work visa, blah, 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 blah. Why is it a big deal? Blah, blah, blah. Who uses it? So this is a generic context. So what the risk behind this one?
So first of all, given that this is a question from the audience, I would not start off by saying what's the risk behind this one, because you have to meet people where they are. Now, if I was to engage with AI for things about my car, for example, which I'm not really good at, I'm telling the AI, explain how to fix this as a 10-year-old. Explain it to me because that is where I'm at. But since the platform is for lawyers, I'm assuming that there's a certain level of a certain level of competence. So it's also engaging with tools where you are, asking the questions for it to suit your own needs. Now, if you wanted the generic explanation, I think the way you frame it helps. But I think the exercise we've done here is to show that you get the best outcomes for professional purposes, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you give it as the very detailed context.
I mean, that is why Joshua Robinson from YouTube is saying asking generic questions depends if you don't have a generic idea. But if you do
Yes.
and need an expert idea, then
Thank
that
you.
the way we
Yeah.
started is the way to go. Okay. All right. So,
yeah.
Mario, can we take one more example? And this time, can we be more African specific, if it's
Okay.
possible? Yeah. Before we we go for a break. Yes. Sorry.
There's one I want to go with, and I'll send you the prompt.
Yeah. I just send it now. I can get it.
Yes. We're going to use a country that has an AI policy in place, for example, right?
Okay.
Um,
UI world-class AI policy strategies. This one.
exactly. So now
Okay.
we're going to.
I have
What
copied
we're
this
trying
one.
to do.
Okay.
Yes. So what we're trying to do now is the name I gave. So by the way, just to add context, as you already know, but just for the audience, I'm
Okay.
working on 100 days of prompting series, and I'm
Okay.
on day 53. Today will be day 54 now. Every day
Wow.
I give an idea. I give like a prompt just to show the expanse or the endless and limitless possibilities how you can use these tools, right? So for
Mm-hmm.
this, someone may be curious, okay, why should I care about this? First of all, okay, if I do care about it, what is my country's posturing towards making sure we use AI to for national development? Now, if you know what your country is doing, you can then find a way to align with those goals, because a lot of things are changing. You do not want to be left behind, right? So this prompt would be first of all saying, in summary, what are my country's AI goals and how can I benefit from that? What do I need to do? So I guess let's tailor this for a country, Nigeria, for example. I
So
think
let's take it step by step. We start
okay,
with UI
sure.
world-class AI policy strategist, economic
Yes.
advisor and career architect. Is that okay? That's the role, right, of the
Exactly.
of the AI.
And I'll break
Yeah.
it down why I did that.
All right.
First of all, it understands the policy. Second,
Mm-hmm.
it also understands the economic changes that would happen as a result of AI.
Mm-hmm.
And also it can then advise on how you move towards benefiting what career moves you need to make.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. So going back to the prompt, and then you said your role is to help me align my skills, interest, and this is a line where you explain the job description of the AI. Okay, now step
Yes.
one, understand the landscape research. Can I leave this as it is?
You can. What I
Okay.
would say is,
Okay.
I would say your role is to help me align my skills and the future goals with Nigeria's current
Instead of my countries.
yes.
Okay, with Nigeria, with
with Nigeria's
Nigeria's
current and yeah.
Okay, current and imagine national AI strategy. So now step one.
Yes.
So we've contextualized the. Sorry, I miss. See, people are calling my attention to the misspelling. All right, yeah, with Nigeria's
Yeah.
current and imagine national AI strategy. So step one is we have.
You're limiting the scope.
Yeah, we've
This
told the
only
AI.
country I want you to focus on. Exactly.
Good.
That is
Good.
it.
So now
Yeah.
step one. Understand the landscape research and explain the top 3 AI priorities or themes in my country's official AI strategy or national innovation plan. Focus on areas like economic growth, blah, blah, blah. And so I should leave everything like it, as it
Yes,
is.
leave it as it
Now,
is. But let me explain. Let me just give a bit of uh, context, right?
sure.
What you're trying to do with this prompt, the outcome for this is
Mm-hmm.
I care about the policy, I care about where my country is going, but how can I, as an individual, benefit from this? So, if you're giving a talk, for example, let's say you're lecturing students,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, let's say you're one student, you're giving a talk. This would help them understand these are the changes that may happen to our own industry,
Mm-hmm.
and this is where the money will flow. These are things you have to start thinking of. Right, you're not just asking it because it can explain the policy to you, as we've seen from a generic standpoint. You so I think you have to be very selfish when engaging with AI to say, I don't care about anyone else, just give me what helps me as a person. If you frame things like that, because you're now saying, I don't care about anything else, don't bother telling me, which you would not necessarily have with a Google search, for example. I mean, now the AI searches, but you get the point I'm making. Yeah.
All right, Mario, but before we proceed on, somebody is
hmm
asking if there are ways to get ChatGPT 4.0 in Sierra Leone because 3 or 3.5 are not effective. Can you say something on that before we proceed?
I
This is
would
the
assume.
Smooth Jazz Cafe, who is so happy to see you. I don't know if you guys have. It's been a while since you last see each other, since you last saw each other, but nonetheless,
Yeah.
I think you can if you have the money to pay for it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
You have to pay for the
you have
premium
to.
service.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
using the premium service couple of weeks ago, paid for by the university of it, and then after the payment expired, I stopped using it because I don't want to continue giving my money to OpenAI. Yes, so
So, to,
let's go
to
back to the
respond to
prompts.
these two things before we go back to the prompts, right?
Yes, okay.
So to respond to these two things about whether it is available, yes, I believe it is. I know people who have been using it. And I would say, depending on what your line of work is, if you can, I think your subscription to understanding how these things work is very important because it's not necessarily for now. Now it looks like, oh, just hype, it's a fad, everyone is excited. But the next, I mean, given the context back home, it may take a while to see how it differentiates people who are skilled in these tools or not. Because now, in a lot of companies, the CEOs demand that the employees be AI literate.
Yeah.
So this is where the world is going.
Here,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if we've assumed that over there, but here you have to be
Yeah.
AI literate for for you
Yeah.
to be employed.
Mhm.
Anyways, let's go back to the prompts because time is
Okay.
not our friend. Yes, so we have given it context and we have given
Yeah.
it its description on how
Yeah.
it should think. Now,
Yeah.
um, there this where you said insert your country. Should I put Nigeria here
Oh, yeah.
again?
You can take it out because we've already given it that
Okay.
context.
Okay. Step
Yeah.
2, strategic alignment given to the national goals. Okay. Blah 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 blah. I can leave everything like this again, right?
No, wait. What we're saying here is
Mm-hmm.
this is where the country is going. How can I benefit? So you're now going to edit where it says my background, insert your industry. Let's just say, for example, I'm a final year law student.
Okay. So my background and
Yes.
interest.
Yeah.
Alignment given those national goals suggests how someone in my background as what?
Yeah. I'm a final I'm a final year law student.
How someone with my background as a final year law student.
Yes.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yes. My career
And
interests, we could
an
say
interest code. I say
for
identify
interest.
opportunity for personal and professional growth.
No,
Reskill
so
or
let's
upskill.
say let's focus on the goals first, right?
Okay.
Say I want to be a commercial lawyer advising startups.
And and okay, as a final year law student, and I want to be.
No, where it says my career interest, that is where
Mhm.
you're going to edit now.
My career into okay, you're taking me down, right?
Yes. Yes, we're going down.
Okay.
Commercial lawyer advising startups. Yeah.
1 minute. Okay, now we're here.
Yes.
Where it says identify opportunity, personal, blah 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 blah. Insert your country. I should take this my background. I should take all of this, right? My
So your
background.
background,
I am
I said
a
final year
final
law
year
student.
law
Mm-hmm.
student.
Yeah.
And my career
And then
interests,
commercial lawyer advising startups. Let's go
commercial
generic here.
law,
A lawyer advising startups.
commercial lawyer advising startups.
Okay,
Okay.
then yes, I think we're done now. It's just saying this is what I want the output to be.
Okay, recommendation
Accommodations.
based on the
Yeah.
above. Provide 3 to 5 specific positioning moves I can take in the next 6 to 12 months. Suggested sectors or initiatives to get involved with skills or certification to pursue communities or networks to join in my country, a region output clearly, blah, 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 blah. So we will go ahead now and hit.
Please do. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see the answer it comes up with. It's searching the web. Now, here is a clear strategic plan to align your skills and goals as a final year law student interested in commercial law and startup with Nigeria's National AI Strategy, NACE, based on varied official priorities through 2024-2025. A detailed, specific answer. This is what you want from the AI. Or else, if you copy something from AI and show someone with a generic prompt, immediately it will appear as if
it's easy to spot. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
It is so easy.
Well.
It is so easy to spot. Yeah. So you see, it gives you exactly what you're looking for. It gives you Nigeria's top 3 AI priorities according to the National AI Strategy, which is economic growth and sector transformation, workplace development and education, responsible, ethical, and legal AI governance. Then secondly, it shows, it gives you the strategic alignments, how you, law student and aspiring commercial law startup fit in. Blah, blah, blah. You can position yourself, blah, 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 and so on and so forth. So, Mario, what's your take so far with the, I know, of course, you are constrained of seeing the response, but I can copy the response. I'm copying the response, sending it to you now.
I'm listening to you, and it's fine. I definitely get it. Yeah, it's fine.
I can still send it to you. Here you go.
Okay.
That's it. That's the response.
Yeah.
All right. So before we go for a break, quickly, what are some of the most common mistakes people make, or lawyers in particular, when interacting with these tools? Of course, you've highlighted some of them whilst we were discussing just now, but just by way of itemizing these mistakes we make, especially when using tools, generic tools like ChatGPT, Copilot, Gemini, and the likes.
Okay. The first one would be very generic. The first one would be obvious. It's not doing your own research, because you can only you can only give what you have, right? Like the name of that principle, you can't give something you don't have, So if I have this knowledge, if I've read widely enough to know that this thing exists, I can then question or ask the AI tool about it, you see. So the H1B, for example, you see, when I started engaging with it, because I know what it was, there was no need to start saying explain it to me as a 15-year-old, because I know what it is. I have an idea. So I guess be widely read, be knowledgeable, because that is still very valuable now more than ever, because everyone is going to have an idea about something. AI can explain it, but you need to be very knowledgeable about these things. Secondly, I think something that could be very damaging is just relying on anything AI gives you, and it is not a source of truth. It guides you where to go find the truth. So copying and pasting this, I mean, there've been cases where lawyers have been charged with heavy cost because of just because relying on cases AI tools have provided, obviously wrong. So you have to be very mindful of that, and also you do not want to give clients data to these companies, right? The agreement you have with your clients is between you and confidentiality. It's not meant to be shared with these tools, so you have to be very careful. So I would say top three things: and make mistakes. It should not replace your own research, for example. It should, when you've done the research, it should guide it or supercharge your research. And second and thirdly, you have to be very mindful of confidentiality and sharing patient clients information and data.
All right, perfect. We will take a break. I know you want a sip of water now. Let's catch a minute break, and we'll come back and then try to wrap up, because time, as I said, is not our friend today. We started very late. But before we go, just a word or two from YouTube. Smooth Jazz is also saying you can also ask the chat to give you the answer in an essay form. Of course, that's if you want that to be. And also always remember to warn the chat to be very mindful of plagiarism. Thank you so much, Smooch Daz, for those bits. Thank you for those very good bits from you. So now we'll go for a break and we'll come back, and then we'll have Mario continue his wonderful prompt engineering. See you later. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, don't forget we have just signed Victor Yokeres. Yes, I mean, some people were praying to their gods and they went to their oracles so that we couldn't get our man, but thankfully he's here. He's currently at the Emirates Stadium. So I am with Mario today, and we are discussing prompt engineering, and good Lord, if you could have it, Mario is a Manchester United fan. Imagine a team where the coach has said we are going to suffer. Imagine, without even the season commencing, and you guys have already declared that you're going to suffer. Anyways, Mario, we have been doing some practical prompts. I don't know if we can go through one more, or if we can go through tips, tools, and techniques. For example, what structures and techniques you recommend for lawyers when drafting prompts, especially to get accurate and useful responses. And if there are also, just 1 minute, if there are also tools and browser extensions you'd recommend to make prompt engineering easier for the legal profession.
Okay. So I think we've done 2 practical examples. I would rather just give out how to think about using these tools, and then I'll give a few ideas as to what can help. or what tools you can use or extensions you can use, as the case may be. So I'm going to go back because you mentioned we're going to suffer for Amorim, which he said. So it goes back to what I've said is context is really important, because I watched the full interview. It was taken out of context, right? So now, if you're using that, let's say we're using that to engage with AI tools, you take a buzzword and apply it without context, you miss certain things, because that is not what was said. The way you're saying it is not the intended way it was meant to be received, right? It was said alongside injuries, for example. Well, that aside, it is, I think, a good way to use these tools is just by being giving it the context. Don't leave it to make assumption. You want, because what they do is they would make assumptions like, if you do not control what they do, it would lie. That's just a fact, and you don't want that. So you want to make sure, look, give me exactly what I've asked you to do. Be very specific. So I think patience, if someone asks me, oh, what can I do to, you don't necessarily have to be a prompt engineer. I don't refer to myself as a prompt engineer. I can interact with AI tools. Um I don't want to be in a hurry to start adding other titles. I don't care for these things, but I think having the patience to have done the research, when you do the research, because it's like having a mental sparring partner. You understand? It's like having someone you could always debate with, but you need to have the information with you first. You cannot argue about something you don't know yourself, because then if all I'm doing is telling you this, the reason we're having this conversation is you know certain things about it. So even if I was to say something that was not correct, you would say, no, I think this is the, yeah, but if you had no knowledge about a piece of information, you would just take everything I say. And that's not the way to go. So I think, first of all, do research, be knowledgeable about things. And you can use the AI tools, asking it to cite credible sources to start doing the research, and then you start having these more strategic conversations about how it can apply to your own context. So just to move on to tools you can use. So I would say, first of all, in some jurisdictions that are very advanced, law firms now have reached out to some of these companies to train to create AI tools on their behalf. So big law firms, for example, have reached out to OpenAI and Microsoft. So what they've done is they've used data and information and documents which they've had for a long time. They're now telling them, train AI to give us specific responses for what we have done over the years, and it's specific to the standard we're aiming for, the manner in which we write, for example. So they're doing that. But I mean, if we don't have those luxuries or those resources, what I would say is they're free. So it's like I use Perplexity a lot, and if I'm doing research, I like Perplexity, because what it does is it takes you directly to the sources, but you have to be mindful enough to tell it, give me credible sources, instead of sending you to things that are irrelevant for your search. Because mind you, can only refer to credible sources when making certain arguments, right? That is something we're taught from the start of our programs or courses, as the case may be. So there's Perplexity, there's ChatGPT is really good, and I think more people should try to use the deep research function in ChatGPT. Now, you can use ChatGPT for everyday tools. Like, instead of Googling, what we do now is use ChatGPT, fine. But if you want to be really good at engaging with AI, I think it makes sense to test out the agentic features. And deep research is really good, because whereas you would get the responses, let's say, in under a minute, when you use deep research, the function, and it's free, by the way, it's free. When you ask it, it would ask you follow-up questions, and it would take about 5 minutes to do research. And it gives you very detailed responses. So I think be patient, right? Do more research. listen to podcasts. There's information on YouTube. I believe there will be information on TikTok, depending on who you follow. Just make sure you soak in as much information because the industries are being are evolving as we know it. No one is an expert. I'm not an expert. I'm just someone who's curious and you would say has time to learn these things. So, but you do not want to be left behind, right? It's like I'm assuming when cars were introduced to the scene, everyone rode horses or had other ways of traveling. Let's say someone would have said, "Oh, I don't care about driving a car. I just want to use a horse." After a while, you get left behind, right? Because the horse has to stop, so it has to be fed. Not to say the car does not have maintenance considerations, but you are trying to move with the times and be efficient. So it's good to have these things at the back of your mind. Learn about it. There's a lot of free resources. All right, make use of the internet. It would help.
All right. Ibrahim Soibafo de Mansari again from Facebook said, I think
Yeah.
AI is good, and I've been using Notebook LM to narrow down for me case laws that have hundreds of pages to at least 5 pages within minutes. However, my major fear is that it may be a tool that will ultimately breed lazy students, and this in turn will have serious consequences on the quality of education in this part of the world where we don't have the tools to detect AI-generated academic work from the students' real efforts. My question is, how do we use AI responsibly within the academic context to ensure that the work of students reflects their efforts? This may also sound ridiculous. Do I sue AI if I am misled and rely on whatever answer it gives, and that answer leads to a colossal loss?
Okay, so this comments or questions were layered, so I'll go through them one by one to the best of my abilities. Right now, there are loads of concerns about AI eroding academic rigor. Now, if you go to school, for example, you're meant to go through certain academic challenges, and that would improve your ability to understand and digest certain topics. It's something we all need. Now, what AI has done is it's given everyone shortcuts, right? And this is something we have to address. So, to give you context, while I was doing my the reason I started using this as much as I did when I was doing my LLM in the UK, the tool was launched. It became popular around that time, November 2022. I started, I think September 2022, and I started using it immediately. Now, I even did a presentation in a course because you know these things are called large language models. I even did a presentation and a play of words to say how to use an LLM for your LLM because masters in law is an LLM now. And I said, look, people are going to find ways to present these essays and these things. So it is up for these education bodies to see how can we change the way we assess students. Are we going to ask for more oral submissions now? We're going to ask. So
Sorry to intrude on your thoughts. I mean, when you're talking about that, in my program, we had several exercises where we were asked to ask the tool itself. Like, for example, we had one, we were told to ask ChatGPT about so and so, and then you have to critique the answer that the prompt or the AI tool gave you. I mean, people are finding ways to teach people because we are living in the era. Thank you. We cannot avoid it.
Exactly. So what we have to do is, first of all, is be very stringent as to how we adopt these tools. The horse is out of the carriage, right? There's no going back. It is already out. Now, how we leverage these tools is going to be how professions and education evolves over time. So I think, yes, there's a challenge with that, but there are ways assessments would have to change for things like this. Secondly, talking about laziness, again, it goes back to the point, how are we assessing students? So not to spend too much time on this, but also can you through AI now, I specifically said these tools give disclaimers that ChatGPT or Perplexity AI can make mistakes. Almost all of these generic tools out on the internet, they will tell you that. So you are assuming that risk if you rely on it. Now, if you I think even for paid, because I worked on platforms that were specific for companies, right? Doing some work engagements, I've worked with tools that were specific for companies, and even they will tell you that do not necessarily rely on everything we say you want to fact check. So because of that disclaimer, I find it hard to see how you could sue them at this point. Yeah.
Right, perfect. So we're running out of time. In fact, we've run out of time. We've gone beyond the time. I mean, we've discussed nearly everything. But one final thing I want us to discuss is, as African countries build, legal tech capacity. We've mentioned Nigeria now with their AI strategy. We have Rwanda, we have Kenya, we have South Africa on the pipeline. So, what's your advice on localizing, specifically prompt engineering, for jurisdiction-specific legal practice? And do you see a future where legal prompt engineering becomes a recognized skill or role within the law firm?
Okay, so what's the first question? Because I'm noting these down
yes.
just so I can be very clear how I respond to them.
I hope I can remember. I was asking, now that we are getting the capacity, we're trying to meet where the rest of the world is, what would be your advice on localizing prompt engineering specifically for jurisdiction-specific legal practice? So like, say, for example, the example we did with Nigeria, and then do you see a future where prompt engineers become, or the idea of prompt engineering becomes a recognized skill or role within the law firm?
Okay, so the first question would be how to localize the use of these tools, right? If I'm not mistaken, that is what you're asking. First of all, if we want to progress with the times, we have to find a way to do it. How we do it is, first of all, making sure. So if I'm giving Sierra Leone as an example, right? I believe we have to do a better job of writing. We do not necessarily publish things as much. So the more information you have there, the more details these tools can be trained on. So if there's less literature, yes, I mean, there's a whole other argument about the copyright infringement, how these things are being trained. If there's not enough information for these things to be trained on, there might be gaps. This is where the tools would hallucinate, for example, make guesses that are wrong. So I would say publish more. Now, the other concern is if we're going to publish more of these AI generated content, because AI is going to be trained on AI generated content, but I think documenting things would help, right? And
like
finding ways to
Ed
train.
Sheeran did. Have you read the Ed Sheeran case? Yeah.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, so that you have to document things, but also make an effort to we have a tendency to push back on innovation. Now, I've had conversations with lecturers who said when they were studying, that was around the time the internet became more popular and the research changed to AI and to online research, and people pushed back at it to say it's going to make the students lazier. But now everyone does research online, so you have to evolve with the times. Secondly, are we future legal? Well, I so the question is, if I got it correctly, is will we have skills for legal prompt engineers? So I try my best. I'm not a fan of making things sound very complex, because when we do that, there's almost that thing as if, oh, you have to be super smart or super talented to get these things. It's just asking the right questions. Now, as a lawyer, that is what you're meant to do anyway, critical thinking. It's not different. Nothing I've done here has not been because I've just been blessed with this gift. It's the training I have and being patient enough. So I think with all of this, what technology has done for us as the human race is we expect everything really fast, and it's not the best approach. If you're working with a client, for example, I would rather you dedicate the most time to get the right outcome. So being patient and yeah, but the skill itself now, asking the right questions in a law firm was valuable 50 years ago. It would be valuable 50 years from now. It's just how we use it. So it's about asking the right questions. It's about being knowledgeable enough. So if a tool give you a wrong answer, you would say, this sounds wrong. But the reason you would know it sounds wrong is because you're already knowledgeable. So I think it's just being, and we have to be sharp. We need to have sharper minds to spot wrong things, because there's going to be proliferation of misinformation and disinformation. So you just have to be sharper and do a lot more research as people. So it's not just, oh, AI makes everyone an expert. No, you have, how skilled are you at detecting nonsense? I think that's where we're going. That's where we're going now. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mario. I think we've exhausted all the time we had. But
Okay.
I one more message popped up. Let me see if I can read this. For most African countries, they are focused resources having resource without having knowledge of how to use that resource for your own benefits is just a liability. This is from Uruku. All right. To all those that tuned in from YouTube and from Facebook, we want to thank you all, and thanks to our guest for sparing us his very busy time to help us, get some practical side of how we prompt these AI tools to enhance, of course, productivity and efficiency. And thanks to everyone for making this dream a reality. This is Wivo Legal Tech for Africa. Mario, do you have any final words to say before we draw the curtains?
Yes, so the final word, I think the last comment was really good, which is why I would go back to that as the final word. Do not necessarily do not rely on the lapses or the lack of infrastructure in these countries and say, oh, we don't have the infrastructure. Do the research yourself. I mean, we use our phones to do all sorts of things. Make time to learn yourself. And if you're ahead of the curve, fine. Countries will catch up to you at some point, but by then you would be miles ahead. So I guess be deliberate about learning now. Like, it's so important to make time for this. Just understand you do not have to be an expert yet, but that's the way the world is going. Don't get left behind. So that's my final word. Yeah. And
Thank
thank you
you.
very much for inviting me and rubbing your careers in my face.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mario. We hope to get you back soon, because we want to continue with this trend, this practical side of legal tech henceforth, because we've done most of the
Okay.
philosophical jurisprudential foundation before we get
Okay.
here. So thanks to everyone that tuned in. This has been your program, Wivo Legal Tech for Africa. Today we were discussing prompt engineering. Until next week again, where we'll have another guest. I have been your humble host, Mohamed Uriba, signing out. Bye-bye.